You know, the Russo-Japanese War. It's the early 20th century's most spectacular imperial faceplant. It's the original hold my beer moment sponsored by an entire empire. We're talking about an empire that spanned 11 time zones, looking at Japan like it was a regional startup with a bad business plan. The arrogance was chef's kiss, spectacular. And it was all caused by a fatal lack of one simple modern tool. No, not a better battleship. Not a machine gun. Russia had 140 million people. They had the largest standing army on Earth. They had a lot of ships. And they got utterly, completely pants-on-head bodied by an island nation they viewed as a historical punchline. They weren't just beaten, they were humiliated. They were sent home. And this defeat lit the fuse for a revolution that would eventually, delete the Tsar's entire family from existence. So what if Tsar Nicholas II had just checked his notifications? What if the entire catastrophe, the 18,000-mile voyage of the damned, the revolution at home, the loss of his entire navy, could have been avoided with one halfway competent project manager using Slack? Forget grand strategy. Forget clash of civilizations. The 1904 to 1905 war wasn't a clash of empires. It was a corporate merger gone horribly wrong. It was a project plan written by interns. It was a logistical meltdown of biblical proportions. And the Treaty of Portsmouth? That peace treaty that ended it all? That wasn't a peace treaty. It was a bankruptcy filing, notarized by Teddy Roosevelt. To understand this disaster, you have to understand Russia's one true motivating obsession: warm water. They are the biggest country in the world, and for most of the year, they are strategically ice-locked. Their main ports in the Baltic and the Arctic? Frozen solid. You can't be a global empire if your ships are props in frozen for half the year. You can't project global power if your navy is stuck in an ice cube tray 6 months a year. So, after centuries of trying, they finally get their dream. They convince China to lease them a strategic prize, Port Arthur. It's perfect. It's warm. It's deep. It's their shiny new naval base in the Pacific. It's Russia's "I've finally made it" moment. It's their "look, Britain, we have one too" status symbol. There's just one problem. The new kid on the block, Japan. Japan has just come off the world's most aggressive glow-up. We're talking the Meiji Restoration. They went from feudal samurais to a full-blown industrial power in about 30 years. It's the fastest national transformation in human history. And they see Russia, this giant, clumsy empire, suddenly plopping its main Pacific naval base right in their backyard, muscling into Korea and Manchuria, which Japan considers its sphere of influence. This isn't just about territory for Japan, it's about survival. So Japan does what any modern nation does. It sends strongly worded emails. It tries diplomacy. The Tsar and his court in St. Petersburg literally could not comprehend that this little nation was serious. They treated Japan's diplomats with the kind of condescending pat on the head you'd give a child trying to explain geopolitics. Russia, in its infinite arrogance, basically leaves Japan on read. So Japan clicks send in a different way. February 8, 1904. Japan, tired of being ignored, launches a surprise torpedo attack on the Russian fleet docked at Port Arthur before a formal declaration of war. The Tsar is outraged. His advisors, most of whom haven't seen a real battle in decades, assure him this will be a short, glorious war. A quick little spat to distract everyone from the fact that the country is broke and on the verge of revolt. Spoiler, it's not. Now Russia has a massive problem. Their Pacific fleet is crippled and blockaded. Their main army? It's 5,000 miles away in Europe. And how do you get that army to the front? You get it there on the Trans-Siberian Railway, the longest, most ambitious, and at this point, least finished railway in the world. It's a single track, not two. One. If a train carrying ammunition derails, the entire war stops for a week. Sending troops and supplies east means you can't send anything or anyone west. It's a logistical bottleneck from hell. But the army is one problem. The navy is another. With Port Arthur blockaded, the Tsar makes a decision. a decision so bad, so fundamentally strategically stupid that it still makes historians laugh until they cry. He decides to send his other fleet, the Baltic Fleet, to the rescue. Let me say that again. They are going to sail 42 aging, unreliable, coal-hungry battleships, 18,000 nautical miles on a voyage that will take 8 months through oceans controlled mostly by Great Britain, which happens to be allied with Japan, with ships that were already kinda obsolete and crews that had barely trained to fight a battle at the other end of the world. This isn't a strategy. This is a suicide note with propellers. Imagine the Tsar's Imperial Asana board. Project, glorious little war, Q1 sprint, status, on fire, literally, task list, task, relieve Port Arthur, land, assigned, General Kuropatkin, status, lagging, task, sail Baltic Fleet to Pacific, assigned, Admiral Rosistvensky, status, in progress, task, keep populace happy, assigned, Ministry of Interior, status, task, secure funding, assigned, Ministry of Interior, status, task, secure funding, assigned, Minov Balay Kuropatkin, assigned, Minov Balay Nuns Kradir of funding, Minov, let's call it #Voyage of the Damned. Admiral Rosestvensky is the poor, miserable project lead put in charge of this impossible deadline. Oh yeah, about that. The fleet is barely out of the Baltic. They're sailing through the North Sea at night. They are paranoid. They're inexperienced. And their advanced threat detection software, which is mostly just a terrified guy named Ivan in a crow's nest, spots something. They mistake a fleet of British fishing trawlers for Japanese torpedo boats in the North Sea, which, if you check your map, is nowhere near Japan. It's the geographic equivalent of swatting at a fly in your New York apartment because you're worried about kangaroos. They open fire. They sink a trawler, kill 3 civilians, and almost start a war with Great Britain. You know, the single most powerful navy on the planet. Now we get to the real boss of this whole campaign, logistics. This is where the entire insane what-if scenario just melts. You can't run a 1905 steam-powered navy on 21st century wishful thinking. These ships run on one thing, coal. Thousands and thousands of tons of it, every few days. And thanks to the diplomatic incident in the North Sea, Britain has banned them from every single one of its ports, which is basically all of them. No Suez Canal, no easy refueling in South Africa, no Hong Kong. They are naval pariahs. They are forced to hire German civilian colliers to meet them on the open ocean. Think about this. You have a 15,000-ton battleship and it's bobbing in the middle of the Atlantic trying to get thousands of dusty bags of coal from a terrified German merchant ship in a 10-foot swell. Men are dying just from refueling. It's slow, it's humiliating, and it barely works. This is the logistical equivalent of trying to charge your iPhone with a potato while running a marathon. The fleet's Yelp reviews for this trip would be legendary. And while the fleet is slowly rotting in the Indian Ocean, the project goals are collapsing in real time. Oh, the entire reason for this 18,000-mile voyage, the port they were sent to rescue, it's gone. The project is obsolete. Yep, while the fleet's away, the Tsar's Imperial Guard fired on unarmed protesters in St. Petersburg, an event called Bloody Sunday, and the entire country has exploded into the 1905 revolution. The project isn't just failing abroad, the entire Home Office is on fire. But the fleet sails on. 8 months later, they finally approach Japan. They are exhausted. Their ships are fouled with barnacles, dramatically cutting their speed. Their morale is zero. Their ammunition is a mismatched grab bag. The Japanese fleet under Admiral Togo is waiting. They are fresh, they are fast, they are experienced, and they are fighting in their own home waters. It's May 1905. This isn't a battle. It's a deletion. It's a senior developer watching a junior intern try to merge code. Admiral Togo performs the classic naval maneuver, crossing the T. It means he cuts across the front of the Russian line, allowing his entire fleet to fire full broadsides while the Russians can only fire the few guns at the front of their lead ships. It's like lining up an entire firing squad to shoot at one guy who is also running at them. The Japanese shells are better. Their gunners are better. Their ships are faster. The Russians are slow, fouled, and their shells are famously unreliable. Many were duds. It is a massacre. In less than 24 hours, the Russian Baltic Fleet, and with it Russia's status as a great naval power, ceases to exist. The war is over. Russia is beaten at sea. They're stalemated on land. They're out of ships, they're out of money, and they are definitely out of public support. The Tsar needs an exit. Now, enter, of all people, Teddy Roosevelt. TR sees this as America's big moment to step onto the world stage as a serious power broker. He offers to mediate the peace talks, and the two exhausted empires agree. The result is the Treaty of Portsmouth, and it is a total, complete humiliation for Russia. Russia has to recognize Japan's paramount interest in Korea. Translation: Japan gets Korea. Russia has to give Port Arthur to Japan, the entire point of the war. Russia has to give the southern half of Sakhalin Island to Japan. This treaty isn't a negotiation. It's the final receipt for the most expensive, poorly planned project in history. So what's the real lesson here? Technology doesn't win wars. A better app doesn't fix a broken strategy. Logistics wins wars. Russia had the bigger fleet on paper, but it was a project doomed from the very first click by its own hubris. They wrote a check their supply lines couldn't cash. They launched an 18,000-mile campaign without ever stopping to ask, wait, can we actually do this? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the fuel? They had all the assets and none of the logistics. The Treaty of Portsmouth is what happens when your what-if scenario meets the cold, hard find-out phase. It's the universe sending you one final, brutal notification: this is what we do here. We analyze the strategic meltdowns, the logistical train wrecks, and the epic displays of hubris that history tries to forget. If you never want to make these mistakes, well, you will. But at least you'll be smart enough to laugh about it. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next strategic meltdown.